pumpkin pie is so delicious, you're gonna want to make some. With only 6 net carbs per slice, it's a real winner. Even your friends and family who don't eat keto will appreciate this delicious pie. One of the secrets to a good pumpkin pie is the seasonings. We mix cinnamon, ginger, and nutmeg together, though some people will use cloves or allspice as an alternative. We'll start off by making the pie crust, which is almond flour based and will contain some monk fruit sweetener and just a little bit of that pumpkin pie spice. We'll mix that together to get it well incorporated, and then we'll move on to the wet ingredients. We're going to take 4 to 5 tablespoons of grass-fed butter and melt that, and combine 1 large egg in there. Then whisk that together and get ready to incorporate that into the dry ingredients using a food processor. You could mix this by hand, but it'll certainly take a lot more work to get it evenly incorporated, so the food processor will save you a lot of time. In a few seconds, you'll have your pie crust dough ready to go and press into your pie pan, which you'll want to grease with some butter ahead of time just to make sure that your crust doesn't stick, because that would be a real tragedy. Now I tried to be fancy and use the spatula to spread it out, but really it just comes down to using your hands. Press the dough into the mold and make sure that you line the sides with enough crust to hold your pie in place. Pat it down and then poke some holes in it so that way it doesn't rise and puff up on you when you put it in the oven. Then we're going to bake it at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more, but you don't want to fully bake it because it's going to spend some time in the oven with the pie. Now the pie filling is super easy. We're going to use 1 can of pure pumpkin, the remaining pumpkin pie spice we made earlier, some monk fruit sweetener, 3 large eggs, and then 4 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream and 1 small teaspoon of vanilla extract to balance out the flavor. We'll pulse that in the food processor for a few seconds, and then we'll usually have to open it back up and then scrape the sides back down with the spatula. Then we'll pulse again for a few seconds, and then your pie mixture will be ready to go and pour right into your crust. Go ahead and pour the pie filling right into the middle of the crust and then smooth out the surface with your spatula. You'll also want to tap it on the counter a few times to release any air bubbles, and then we're going to bake it for about 45 minutes at 350 degrees. The trick is that we don't want to overly cook the exposed crust, so you may want to cover it in aluminum foil, but we also want to make sure that we bake it long enough that there's not going to be any jiggle in the pie before we take it out. So make sure you give it a little shake and put it back in for a little bit longer until it's set. Then we're going to take it out, put it on the counter, and let it cool off completely before we stick it in the fridge for at least a few hours or overnight if you prefer. This pie makes 10 nice servings, and we'll go ahead and garnish it with some homemade heavy whipping cream. If you like recipes like this, go ahead and subscribe to Keto Daily, leave some comments below, and let us know what you think about our pumpkin pie.